AITA for calling out my brother for blocking me on social media. I know it sounds petty, but hear me out. My brother Don, M34, and Tyler, M33, and me, F28, were very close while growing up. 5 years ago, Don got fired and was in a bad place emotionally and financially. I was earning good money during this time, so I supported him as much I could. He had some employment opportunities outside his academic field, but he rejected them. My parents were critical about it, but Tyler and me were there for him. We were like, dude, follow your dreams, we got you. Fast forward 2 years ago, Don gets a new job and he earns a lot of money. He kinda drifts apart from Tyler and me. He meets a girl, they get married and they have a baby. He becomes kinda snobby. I get fired during this time, and when I asked him for money when my savings ran out, he ignores me and says he is not in a good place to help me. I start to see on his social media the good life he has, and I get the word his wife says she hates that Don has to support his lazy family. I confront him and he implies that I am stalking him online. He blocks me, my parents, Tyler and me of all social media. My parents don't mind, they don't use them anyway. Tyler is upset but he is chill. I am hurt but whatever. We still call each once in a while. A year ago, while I was jumping between part-time jobs, I started to work on an illustrated children's book. Writing a book has been my dream since I'm little, and everyone in my family knows it. Last time, like years ago, I had a heart-to-heart chat with Don. I told him I was giving up my dream. That's the last thing he listens about the matter. I've been documenting the creation of this book on social media, and even my extended family got excited. A week ago I got news from an editorial willing to publish this book. It is not a millionaire deal, but whoa. I video call my family, including the extended part, and I tell them. Everyone is excited but Don is dumbfounded. He's like, why I am just knowing this. Okay, you say I never call, but you never tell me what's going on your life. He kinda likes to blame us for not being close to him anymore. I got upset because it was not the time to guilt trip me. My extended family gives him weird looks and tells him I've been documenting this process on every social media I have. Don is still sulking, and then I say something like, oh, you don't know? Don has me blocked online because he thinks I am constantly assessing his fortune or something. Don is mad but we end up the call pretending everything is fine. Mom is upset because I publicly called Don out. She has dumb rivalry with my extended family and likes to pretend we are the perfect family. Dad is saying he deserved it but he'd rather see me wait and confront him. Tyler is ecstatic. AITA, I feel so stupid. I feel I ruined my good moment and severed even more my relationship with Don. On the other hand, I hate he plays the victim. Edit for typos. Sorry. NTA and congratulations. You didn't spoil a happy moment. Don did by acting like he'd been deliberately excluded when he knew full well that he'd excluded himself. Don't be surprised if both he and his wife suddenly start thawing towards you as your star rises. If they are as snobby as you say, then they won't want to pass up bragging rights to being related to a successful author. If that happens, I'd suggest you take a look at how they still treat Tyler before making a decision on how far you let them in. If he's still an afterthought to them, then you know they are kudos farming you to their friends. If they treat him as equally worthy of their attention, then you can start to build bridges. Your brother blocks you on social media. Also your brother, yeah, why wasn't I told about something that you were constantly updating on social media? Oh, the irony. NTA, absolutely. NTA. Despite having blocked you on social media, he expected you to call him separately and give him the same updates you were issuing on social media. This seems unreasonable. I suppose you could have left it without saying that part, but I don't see that you had to. He blocks her, then complains they don't talk anymore and he's left out of the loop. I am boggled by what an asshole this dude is. Also, to turn her big announcement around and make it about him. What is he, a child? As far as I'm concerned, telling other out-of-the-loop family members that he blocked her a while ago was the nicest response. Certainly more polite than I would have been. NTA. Tyler is ecstatic. Good, he should be. Good for you. Don sounds like a jerk. AITA for building a fence around my backyard and keeping it despite my neighbors' protests. I live on the outskirts of a big town/small city, making me one of the few people with a big yard. I live on top of a little hill and my yard is really big and runs all the way to a small wooded area, and then the field next to it is also mine. It pretty much cuts my neighbor's yard off, think like an upside down L-shaped yard. One of the major draws of the area I live in is its lovely view. It was also a big part of why I chose to live here. Most of my neighbors have no fences. Before Corona I was only really home in the evening and weekends. Corona has forced me to work at home pretty much all the time. I only have to come to the office once a week at most. As a result I have started making a lot more use of, well, my house lol. This includes the yard. I got a back porch and I have noticed that I love sitting outside with my work laptop and a cup of coffee, so that is what I have been doing. The problem is, because I was not home much, I barely do any gardening aside from cutting the grass, which means my yard, especially the portion at the back with the turn, is a perfect soccer field for the neighborhood kids. Especially my neighbors' kids are using it pretty much all the time. I even caught them dragging a goalpost into it. I went to talk to the neighbors as I am not happy with random people using my yard, and even less happy about not being able to work because of a horde of screaming kids in my yard, even if it isn't fenced. But I was met with the whole kids will be kids, they don't have anything else to do for fun right now, don't worry, you are not using it anyways. Told them I did not want them using it regardless, but as you can guess by me writing this post, the kids kept using it. So I put up a big wooden fence, the pre-assembled ones where you just gotta put in the posts and drill in the big wooden panels. It was quite a lot of work while only being able to ask 2 friends for help, but after a few days I was done. My neighbors kept coming out to complain, begging me to remove it etc, claiming they now didn't even have a view. I figured they were overreacting, but now that I am done, their yard is literally tiny and their view went from a beat today I fucked up a hilly landscape with woods, to the top of a wooden screen. Meanwhile my view is still the same. Their kids have since come over to ask to play in my yard, as have a ton of other neighborhood kids, as have their parents who were angry their kids now have nowhere safe to play, and I am starting to feel shitty. NTA, it's your property. The parents have no say. I bet most just don't want the kids being inside bugging them. That makes total sense to me. I imagine kids get hyper with very little to do, but my yard isn't the public play place. NTA, and depending on where you live you might be liable if someone gets hurt on your property. Not sure if I would be, as I never gave anyone permission to use it, but if I would be, that just gives me another reason. NTA, your neighbors are acting like you're obligated for your yard to be a public park. Plus they were obnoxious about it. Put up whatever kind of fence is allowed by county code. NTA, you asked them nicely to not have their children play there as it was affecting your ability to get work done. They ignored your request and their children continued to use your private property and disrupt your workday. To add, depending on where you live, if one of them got hurt on your property, you may be liable for some of the injuries. You put a fence up around your private property, as a result of their unwillingness to cooperate. Perhaps you could have reached a middle ground where they could use it outside of working hours and on your days off, but they basically told you to go pound sand when you said you didn't want them there. Now, their reduced view and lack of any flexibility on your part is their own fault. I would make sure you check with your local building code office and make sure the fence is allowed, that the appropriate permits are pulled and approved if required, and that all of the fence sits inside the property line and doesn't block any easements that would give the neighbors a legal means to force you to remove the fence. The neighbor had a view. All they had to do was keep their kids off of your lawn. They essentially decided to tell you that you shouldn't be concerned about them doing something you didn't want them to do, and it cost them that wonderful view. Sounds like consequences for their own actions. AITA for not giving my dad my piece of lamb at dinner. I do not give permission for this post to be used in any podcasts, YouTube videos or the like. Please, it'd be bad if my father found it somehow. The less places this post is, the better. He doesn't use Reddit, but I'm paranoid. Edit 2, oh my god, I did not expect this much of a response. I've read all the messages I could, and most all of them were so kind and helpful. Thank you so much. I can't respond to all of you, but I just want to say you all have been giving me hope where it was fading. Thank you. Edit, I want to thank every single person who commented on this post. I hadn't realized how not normal his behavior was. I'm going to go stay with my best friend a few states away. She was furious when I told her what happened. Thank you all. My dad gets very territorial about food. Like ridiculously so. I, 24F, wasn't super hungry for dinner tonight, but my mom, 56, made lamb, spanakopita and homemade tzatziki sauce. So I sat down and had a good amount, and decided to save the rest of my portion of lamb to make a super yummy sandwich for lunch tomorrow. My dad, 59, plowed through his plate, whole piece of lamb, 4 spanakopita, huge helping of couscous, and then half of my mum's lamb. Then he reached over the table and jabbed his fork onto my plate, stabbing my remaining half piece of lamb and asked, "Are you going to eat that?" 1. Ew. Don't touch my food with your dirty fork. 2. Rude. I nodded and said, "I'm going to make a lamb sandwich for lunch tomorrow, since I'm already full." He glared at me so hard I shrunk in my seat. He yelled at me a lot when I was a kid and I'm still working through that. He released my lamb and pouted like an angry toddler for the rest of the meal. My mom was still eating and I stayed for conversation. I tried to continue conversation with my mom but she went quiet on me too. And so I was very confused because it was just a piece of lamb. If he's going to give me the silent treatment over it, he can fucking have it like Jesus. So I told him if he really wanted it he could have it. I didn't see what the big deal was. He slammed his hand down on the table, and mocked my voice. "I'm going to make a sandwich. I think you just have the power to say no to me." So you did. I was bewildered. I'd wanted a lamb sandwich but it wasn't like I was purposefully trying to steal food away from him. I mean, I just relented and told him he could have it and he's still throwing a tantrum. So I just excused myself from the table, and he blew up again. There she goes. Off to her room because of a piece of lamb. You're damn right I'm going to my room because I didn't want to spend one more minute with that man. A few minutes later I heard a knock on my door that was distinctly my father's. I didn't want to open, so he started banging on it. I opened it, trying to keep myself calm, and he just stood there, eating that piece of lamb. I asked him curtly what he wanted and he just stood there glaring at me while ripping into it. I shut the door on him because he was freaking me out. Like, what the fuck just happened? But AITA? Question mark. So let me get this straight. After eating a full portion of his own food on his plate, he proceeded to eat part of your mother's portion of lamb and then practically demand your portion through pouting, and then tried to rub it in your face when he got your lamb. Does he consider all the food in the house to be his if he decides it to be? Jesus, NTA. Please get out of there. This man is a bully and a major asshole. Yeah, he does. When mom gets back from grocery shopping, he will literally run to the bags, grab the good snacks and eat every single one before anyone else gets a chance to. I'm talking party size bag or Cheetos type snacks, stuff that we get that's supposed to last a while. It's like he doesn't want anyone else to be happy. If I ask for a Cheeto from the big ass bag, he will let me take one, but he'll glare at me the whole time and mock like he's going to hit me. Apparently that's not normal. He's been like this my whole life and I just thought that was how dads were.